Welcome back to the class as we continue to discover our spiritual types. Last week we presented the circle of sensibility, the different ways of knowing and conceptualizing the divine, and how those differences create four basic spiritual types. We're going to review that information first before we dig a little deeper into what all this means for us. Let's first look again at the circle of sensibility, because all spirituality types are part of a whole. Different spiritual types have different strengths that they may bring to the faith community. Today, we'll also learn about the weaknesses that they may represent. Just remember that no one spirituality type is better than another. Instead, we are strengthened by one another. The vertical axis is about ways of knowing. At the top of the circle is speculative. This is knowing through intellectual or cognitive activity. On the opposite side is the affective, which favors perception through feeling and emotion. The horizontal axis has to do with how God is conceptualized. On the right side is the cataphatic, which perceives God as real and knowable. On the left is the apophatic, which is drawn more toward the mystery of God. Then we have the four quadrants. Type 1 is the speculative cataphatic. This is an intellectual thinking spirituality that favors what it can see, touch, and vividly imagine. Type 2 is the affective cataphatic. This is the heart spirituality, focused on personal transformation and sharing that experience with others. The affective apophatic is type 3. These are the mystics who seek union with God and are often more contemplative and introspective in their faith. And type 4 are the speculative apophatic. These folks can envision the kingdom of God and are focused on bringing that into reality through active obedience. Now that we've reviewed, let's go a bit deeper by learning more about the strengths and weaknesses of each spiritual type. The type 1 people are most likely to be the members of the community that will contribute to a coherent theology. They will help to make sense out of what others feel but cannot describe. These are the people who might craft position papers or connect the dots between theology and real-life ethical issues. But each spiritual type can also be prone to excess. That is, without the balancing tension created by community in and with other spiritual types, one may fall into an aberration or extreme. So people in the type 1 quadrant may be prone to rationalism. This is over-intellectualization of one's spiritual life with a consequent loss of feeling. They are often perceived as dogmatic and dry. The affective cataphatic bring charisma and feeling to the community. Their energy, warmth, and freedom of expression will be their spiritual gift to others. But this group can also fall into the excess of pietism. Focused too much on personal transformation, these folks can sometimes develop an us against them mentality that fails to acknowledge as valid the different spiritual experiences of others. People who have fallen into this excess may be perceived as overly emotional and anti-intellectual. The contribution of the affective cataphatic will be the inspiration and sense of the holy that they bring attention to. These are the people who will push the frontiers of spirituality, enabling us to imagine what we might do if we could be more fully open to the divine. The excess of this quadrant is labeled Quietism, an exaggerated retreat from reality and from interaction with the world. Quietism tends to spiritual passivity rather than initiative. They will deprive the world of their gifts while depriving themselves of the gifts of others. Type 4 people can offer their gifts for bringing about the kingdom of God. They will lead us in difficult and even embarrassing issues while maintaining focus on bringing justice without worrying too much about the opinions of others. An excessive and unbalanced spirituality in this type is called Critism and refers to a moralistic and unrelenting tunnel vision. If you are not supporting whatever their cause with the same selfless effort that they expend, you are not a part of their world. These folks may trouble our lives and sometimes make us feel guilty, but we will often admire them anyway for their willingness to make a difference. The last thing I want to mention in this class today is that Dr. Ware suggested that just as individuals have dominant spiritual types, congregations, as a collective of individuals, will also have spiritual types. You may have noticed in the online spiritual type quiz that you were encouraged to take the quiz twice, once for yourself, and then again to test your perception of your congregation's spiritual preferences. Here we have the opportunity to learn two things: how you perceive your own spirituality is aligned with or maybe different from the spiritual type of your worshiping community, and how we as a congregation are perceived by others and what that may say about our collective strengths and opportunities for growth. If you have not already taken the spiritual type quiz from the congregational perspective, please go to the next step and try the exercise again.